In addition to serving on the House Foreign Affairs Committee, I serve on the House Agriculture Committee and I chair the subcommittee on conservation and forestry. So I have been especially focused on bringing farmers and producers to the table and expanding efforts to mitigate and adapt to climate change via agriculture. Agriculture and land use practices can sequester carbon for as little as $10 per metric ton of carbon dioxide equivalent, making it the most cost-effective carbon sequestration method currently available. Meanwhile, nature-based climate solutions could account for as much as 30% of the total greenhouse gas reductions needed to meet the 2-degree warming goal set out by the Paris Climate Accords. Implementing and rewarding climate-friendly practices in agriculture can bolster resilience and farmers' profits within the United States, but they should also be part of a climate change mitigation and international development strategy plan that we pursue in communities around the globe. So, Ms. Caldwell, my first question is for you, and I'm curious, how is USAID working with the U.S. Department of Agriculture or any other relevant parts of the interagency to test and scale climate smart practices that can benefit farmers and producers and the communities where they are impacted by climate change around the world?
Thank you so much for that question. We couldn't agree with you more on the importance of nature-based solutions. We have a very strong program in that area that focuses on conserving, managing, and restoring nature-based terrains. Just by way of example, in the critically important carbon sinks of Amazon and the Congo Basin, we launched the Guerrilla Coffee Alliance with USAID, Nespresso, and Olam. And we're going to invest a combined $14 million over 5 years to support sustainable agriculture. We have a Cocoa for Climate initiative that's critically important to avoid a deforestation in the cocoa industry, another private-public partnership. With the FAO, I'll have to get back to you on USDA specifically. Certainly with the FAO, we've also got another partnership, a forest data partnership. We collaborate with the State Department as well as Unilever and Google and NASA on this to incentivize private investment for natural climate solutions through very transparent data to help decision makers decide where and how to invest. With apologies that I don't have the specifics on USDA, I will note that for the record and make sure to get back to you. I am aware that we work very extensively with the U.S. Forest Service, which is, of course, a part of USDA, and a number of our funds are redeployed directly through the USDA when it comes to forest management overseas.
Thank you very much, Ms. Caldwell. And as follow-up, I would love to get any details that you all might have about some of the anticipated benefits, kind of long range in terms of mitigating climate change, but then also the impact on the ground for the local producers and what these sustainable practices mean for them.
Absolutely.
We talked about the positive side of really addressing climate change in the agriculture space, but we also know that analysis indicates that climate change has really dire consequences for many farmers and producers and those who rely on agriculture for their sustenance of life. And in some cases, we've seen the significant just depletion and lack of profitability of intergenerational farms, small and large. And in some cases, this loss of livelihoods has really contributed to the decision of many to consider migrating. So specific, and I would ask specifically about Latin America, but I welcome you in the limited time we have left to expand beyond that. How much in your work have you seen that one of the root causes of migration is climate change related, or the impact of climate change on livelihoods?
We're absolutely seeing that. And I think when it comes to the Northern Triangle, that's a perfect example. I was reading a recent report by private players. And in fact, I believe a report's being released today by the administration on which we collaborated, which really connects the question of migration to the climate change. So we're working to address climate and non-climate drivers of mobility in vulnerable contexts and to support migrants and displaced peoples. That takes various forms. Focusing on food security is critical, as is water security. Making sure people have the advanced notifications they need to to prepare for extreme weather events or other impacts on local agriculture and lifestyles. I mentioned earlier our collaboration with NASA on this innovative Severe program that helps provide early warning systems for natural hazards. As for the new climate migration report that I mentioned, that's really worth looking at. It's basically a very close analysis of the climate crisis, migration, and development, and it provides recommendations to help guide U.S. policy in that area. So, we coordinated the drafting of the section that discusses proposals for how those findings should address U.S. foreign assistance and our opportunities to work with host governments and communities to predict and prepare for the kinds of disasters that drive migration. So, as you're fully aware, based on your question, there's a very direct relationship between climate change and migration, and it's in our interest as well as local communities' interest to make sure that they have the capability to withstand those shocks and stay in place and survive and thrive.